Okay, so good day everyone. No, so in today's topic we are going to review one of the financial asset, uh, which is the accounts receivable. Okay, so let's start from the nature of the accounts receivable. So a receivable, no, it represents a financial asset arising from a contractual right to receive cash, no, or to collect from um, other party. So may ikaw right no to collect and to receive cash from another entity or another financial asset from another company. So it falls under one of the four categories of financial instruments, namely the loans and receivable. So when we say of loans and receivable, these are non-derivative financial assets which fixed maturity. So when we say of fixed maturity, of course, may sa specific date no on when and where to collect that certain financial assets. So investment in debt securities in deposits held by the banks um, that are not quoted in an active market other than those classified as financial assets at fair value. So the reference to fixed maturity in the definition means a contractual arrangement that defines the amount of date of payments to the holder, such as interest and principal payments. So take note no, it can be in a written form using a issuing or by issuing a notes nga gina-account siya as note receivable or um, just an informal agreement no it can also be considered as a contractual arrangement kasi no a verbal and um, verbal and written contract is still valid. Okay, so ano siya. So for most entities, they comprise the trade receivables. No, when we say trade receivables, these are receivables na um, that arises from the normal transactions, normal operations of a company or the normal course of the business. Loan assets, investment in debt securities. No, take note niya, investment in debt instrument ha. Diri investor kita of a debt instrument like the bonds, no. So if we have that, no, it is also considered as part sa aton nga parang collectibles or receivables. So for banks and similar institutions, they constitute a significant portion of their non-trading assets. Okay, so particularly loans and advances to customers. So tandaan niyo lang, no, ang receivables, no, before siya ma-considered as receivable, kailangan danay may ara ang isa ka entity or a business or company a contractual right to receive money or other financial asset from the different no na company. Okay, so or they have the right to collect from another company. So pag mina, we consider it as part of receivables. Okay, so let's proceed sa classes of receivables. So sa normal na business, receivables can be considered as or can be classified as trade and non-trade receivables. So when we say of trade receivables, sabi ko kagina, these are claims no, that arise from a sale of merchandise or inang mga receivables that arises from the normal transactions, normal operations of an entity or a firm or a company. So when we say naman of non-trade, of course, inang mga wala siya nag-arise from a normal transaction, kumbaga mga is alang ga-appear no or mga claims no, claims from insurances, mga claims like mga advances to officers no o as and employees, mga advances to subsidiaries, ina sila inang mga receivables na wala yan nag-appear or nag-occur in a routine manner no. While ang trade receivables amo siyang aton nga accounts receivables and notes receivables. Now the only difference between the account and note receivables is ang note of course may formal siya nga writing, ang accounts wala. Okay? So for banks and other financial institutions, no ang receivables lang nila if may ara sila um, loans no sa other entities, so kung nag-issue sila loan or may ang other entity may loan, so that's the time no nga may ara sila sang receivables. Okay, so how do we present the receivable sa aton nga statement of financial position? So according to PAS 1, no, so the receivables should be treated or should be accounted, no, or should be presented as one line item under sa name nga um, trade and other receivables. Okay, so one line item under current asset, no? Yeah, amo na siya. One line item under the trade and other receivables ng account. So ang details ng trade and other receivables ng account is disclosed on the notes. Okay? So na siya. So under the sa trade and other receivables are mga trade and the non-trade receivables. Okay? Next, valuation of loans receivable. So at initial recognition, loans and receivables are measured at the fair value. So ang paano natin ma-determine ang fair value is amo na siya ang parang transaction niya, no? Ang initial recognized na siya kung ano ang value niya at the time of the transaction. So the fair value is based on the total expected future cash inflows that an enterprise will realize. So after we initial recognize, paano ta siya i-recognize naman, no, at subsequent, no, recognition. So loans and receivables are measured at amortized cost. So for sure you have already a knowledge what is an amortized cost, no? So the amortized cost of financial asset is the amount at which the financial asset is measured at initial recognition minus principal payments and the interest, no, plus the amortization. Okay, using the effective interest method. So I also assume nga kabalo na kamo kung ano ang effective interest method, no? So usually na gagamit kita present value nga factor in solving that effective interest. Okay, so any difference in that initial amount in the maturity amount, no, minus any reduction can be considered or pwede ta siya ma-account and ma-assess if may ara siya sang impairment, no, or uncollectibility. So okay, so paano naman naton i-measure or i-kuan ang accounts receivable nga trade? So accounts receivable trade are measured at original exchange price between the firm and the outside party. So kung may cash discounts, sales return and allowances, of course gina-deduct. Okay, so the approximation of fair value is the amount expected to be collected also. Okay, so siya. Next, on the impairment. Okay, when we say impairment, there is a tendency or a parang pag-compute naton between the effective interest or effective value niya, no, sa aton nga expected value nga makuha. So may difference, so, or mas manubo ang expected value, no, sa supposed to be value sang receivable. So may ara sang impairment nga nakatabo. So ang impairment, no, it can be caused by like bankruptcy or insolvency sang isa ka company nga may ara kita sulukton, no? So how do we assess that? So assessment in the recording of impairment loss. So an entity shall assess at each balance sheet date, okay, tandaan na each balance sheet date, whether there is any objective evidence that a financial asset or a group of financial asset is impaired. No? So if that financial asset or group of financial asset is impaired, no, kinanglan naton mag-consider sang impairment loss or mag-record sang impairment loss, no? But we consider impairment loss if and only if mayara number one, may objective evidence of impairment as a result of one or more events. No, usually ginahambal man na or ginastate man na nga si company A is hindi na siya or wala na siya capacity to pay, no, or nag-undergone siya the process of bankruptcy, no. So amo gina ang pinaka parang evidence nga magkaka-impair ang imong financial asset is because nga may ara imo ang opposite party parang may ara siya sang ng incapacity, no, to pay. So madula ang iyang ability to pay the receivables. So and number two, the event, no, has an impact on the estimated future cash flows in the financial assets that can be reliably estimated. So magamit naman ta the effective interest method on computing some estimated future cash flows. It may not be possible to identify a single discrete event that caused the impairment. So may ko digin list sa dalom ng mga possible event nga man nagkakaroon sa parang impairment loss. Okay, so objective evidence that a financial asset or group of financial assets such as receivables is impaired. So it includes the observable date that they come to attention to a holder of financial asset about the following loss events. And take note na depende on the issuance of the financial asset kung ma-record kita sa parang impairment loss. Okay, so ang mga example of the events na ma-impair ang atong receivables. So first is significant financial difficulty of the debtor. So kung mawala na siya capacity to pay sang receivables. So next, default or delinquency in interest or principal payments. May mga delay na siya sa mga deadlines that is supposed to be nga payment time na. So wala na siya or nalilipatan or nagiging delinquent na ang iyang mga payment. So next, the creditor granting the debtor a concession that the creditor would not otherwise consider. Okay, so what? So the creditor granting the debtor a concession that the creditor would not otherwise parang consider. Okay, so when we say naman of concession, it is like the creditor o ang nagpautang. So parang gitagaan niya si debtor to parang ability to defer the payments, doon mo na siya ang concession, and the debtor would likely accept that, do parang mina. So next, so the probability that the borrower will enter bankruptcy, or other financial reorganization. So na bankruptcy. Number 5, disappearance of an active market for that financial asset because of financial difficulties, Use of active market like the Philippine Stock Exchange, kung madulaan sa value or wala na siya na list, and ang reason sina na para may financial difficulty ang company. So another reason man for a another reason man for an impairment loss. So next, indication that there is a measurable decrease in the estimated future cash flows from the group of financial assets and adverse changes in the payment status of the borrower. Parang muna still incapacity to pay, incapacity to pay muna sa Japan. And ang last is national or local economic conditions that correlate with difficulties in the assets in the group. For example, increase in unemployment rate, decrease in proper price mortgages, or magataas ang parang magiging interest rate. May mga effect man na ang mga inflation, gaano man na siya, nagka-contribute man na siya on the parang impairment of the financial asset. So next, transfer of financial asset. Diri naman, there is a transfer of financial asset. There are times nga si company nga may nga nag-own sa receivable, pwede niya na parang gamiton as collateral, There are banks nga naga-consider also of that. And of course, may mga number of percentages lang na mag-grant ni bank sa ka-institution. Okay, so first of that, na transfer of financial asset is the pledging, pledging of accounts receivable. Okay, diriya sa pledging, kumbaga there is no need to record, or there is no there is no need to have a journal entry on this pledging of accounts receivable, and there is no need to recognize the accounts receivable or the financial asset, because it is purely a borrowing agreement. So like for example, si company A, gin-pledge niya ang 1 million niya nga accounts receivable for an 80% loan from the bank, So there is no need to inform the debtors of that certain company na gin-pledge in ang accounts receivable, and it requires no journal entry, So ano ang treatment niya? First, continue to recognize and report the receivable with appropriate disclosure. Next, recognize the proceeds as a liability rather than as an income. no? And charge interest on the carrying value of the liability kung may ara. Okay, so ang guwa niya sila, wala na tandog ng accounts receivable, no? But it is just used, no, do parang collateral niya, and nagkaroon sang liability si company nga nag-pledge sang accounts receivable. So you need to account that separately, no? And kung may interest expense siya na mag-incur, so i-record naman siya separately. Right? So another na transfer of financial asset is the assignment of accounts receivable, no? Dali naman, no? Sa assignment, almost the same sila sa pledging, no? Nga dugo parang gin collateral mo yung mga receivables. But dali sa assignment of receivable, the transfer that requires no recognition because it is purely a borrowing agreement. But ano ang difference niya, no? So first, the transfer the accounts receivable to accounts receivable assigned. So dito sa pledging, there is no need to record a journal entry, no? Pero there is assignment of receivable, although the same sila, no? May option si company nga nag-assign sa iyang receivable to transfer, no, the original nga accounts receivable and to create another account, which is the accounts receivable assigned, no? The purpose of this is to follow, to keep track of the records sa nabayaran ng mga receivables. So amo ni siya inang may with recourse and without recourse nga nga parang tawag dito, with recourse and without recourse na treatment of it, na kung kinanglan mo i-inform imo creditors bala or kung dito na sila mabayad sa bank, something like that, no? So recognize the proceeds as a liability and charge interest if may ara, no, on the carrying value of the liability. So changes in the value of the assigned receivables such as returns, write-offs, and collections, no, are the usual way the corresponding credit to account receivable assigned. So kung, for example, nagbayad ka na, no, may mga write-off, dito na siya gina-account or gina-record sa account receivable assigned, no, if the receivable account was transferred. So any balance in the accounts receivable assigned is reported and classified in the same manner of the outstanding accounts receivables, no. So it is still part of your accounts receivable. Kumbaga, gin-separate mo lang siyang parang account, no, pero gina-disclose mo siya sa notes. So another, no, transfer of financial asset is the factoring of accounts receivable. Dire sa factoring of accounts receivable, gina-derecognize mo ang financial asset, no? Kaya nga man, gina-transfer mo na ang imong parang right to collect sa financial institution na parang kung diin mo factor imo nga receivable. So the factoring of accounts receivable is a transfer of financial asset that requires the recognition. When you say of the recognition, dulaon ta siya sa aton nga ang parang financial statements. Okay, so it does not require the recognition for borrowing agreement. Okay, so accounting for factoring of receivables, no? There is paano bala natin siya i-account. Okay? So if the seller retains significant risks and benefits relating to the receivable, like slow payment risk, no, time value of money, non-payment risk, and the benefit of being paid more or sooner than expected, the seller should continue to recognize the asset in the proceeds of the sale, no, will recognize a liability. So kung may mga transaction siya, mga finance expenses, no, so any transaction cost incurred for which a financial asset is not recognized is recognized as a finance expense. Okay, so next, if tanan nga benefits na transfer or for example bilog nga receivable gin factor, no, if all of the benefits and risks have been disposed of, then there has been a genuine sale of the receivables and kinanglan siya i-recognize. So the difference between the proceeds plus any amount retained with the factor and the amortized cost of receivable factored is a gain or loss. Yung ginatawag na factoring loss, no, or mga factors holdback, no. And ang difference na it's either may profit kita or loss, pero mostly loss ina, no. So any amount retained by the factor is recognized and reported as the current asset. So any transaction cost incurred, no, is included in the gain or loss from the sale of receivable. So later, may example ko din, no, on how to account on that. Okay. So let's proceed to the sample problems. Okay, so problem 1, no. So how to solve for the receivables, no? How to solve for the ending balance ang receivables. So the same sa tong first na ton nga ano, nga parang handouts, no? Una-una mo gid nga tanawon or i-check is the question, no? So ang pamangkot niya, what is the ending balance of accounts receivable on December 31, 2014? So ang data, so Maiden Company provided some information on their financial records on December 31, um, 2014, no? So may accounts receivable beginning 1,920,000, collections of accounts receivable, bad debts, no? Or bad debts, or allowance for uncollectible accounts, inventory beginning, inventory ending, accounts payable beginning, accounts payable ending. Okay, so meron kita cash sales na 1,2 and the purchases na 4,8 and the gross profit on sales is 2,160. So paano na 'tong i-solve, no? Ang ending balance ng accounts receivable on December 31, 2014. You can use a T account, no, to solve this, no? Or you can, depende sa inyo kung paano niyo siya i-solve. But I suggest, no, you use a parang T account, no, para i-measure ang each and every parang every account dire, no, para may beginning siya and ending. Kaso hindi mo ko cobra T account, no, dire sa tawag sa PDF. So i-solve ko na lang siya isa-isa. Okay? So start. Okay, so let's start on the parang let's see, no, kung ano ang cost of goods sold, no, using this data para maka-arrive kita sa ending balance ng accounts receivable. Una ko ta na solve to determine kung pila ang total nga parang cost of goods sold. Okay, so paano gani mag-solve cost of goods sold? Beginning inventory, no, pilang beginning inventory 2,890, add to dayon ang purchases, ilang purchases, 4,800,000. Okay, so less the ending inventory, ilang ending inventory, okay, ending inventory is 2,640. So cost of goods sold is pila. Okay, so let's compute. So 2,890 plus 4,8 less the 2,640. So ang cost of goods sold is 5 million T. Ngayon, 2,8. Okay, so typo error lang, no. Hindi ni siya ang beginning inventory is not 2,890 but 2,880. Sorry. So 2,880 ang beginning inventory, not 2,890. Okay, so cost of goods sold is okay, so 5 million 40. Okay, so 5,040,000. Okay, so now, no, mabalanta na ang cost of goods sold. We will now solve for the gross sales, no? Kasi ang total, ang gross sales naton dara naton ma-determine if pila ang nagsulod, no, sa aton nga parang receivables. Okay, so gross sales dito pabalaan. Now the cost of goods sold is 5,040,000. Okay, and the gross profit daw on sales, no, is 2,160. So work back. So pila ang gross sales naton? 540 plus the 2,160. Okay, so let's compute 5,040,000 plus 2,160. Ang total gross sales naton is 7,200,000. So muna siya ang total sales, no? But ang balik sa problem, no? May cash sales daw nga 1,2. So meaning ang nagsulod sa parang receivables naton is the 7,2, no? Minus the 1,200,000. Kung ang gross sales is 7,200,000, so meaning less naton ang cash sales, nga 1,2. Yan. So may ara kita the sales on account. Okay, so we deduct the gross sales, no, sa aton nga cash sales. So ka-arrive kita sa sales account nga sales on account na 6 million. Okay, so meaning ang nagsulod sa aton nga receivables, no, is 6 million. Okay, right, so 6 million ang nagsulod sa sales sa aton nga accounts receivable. So let's solve for the ending balance of the accounts receivable. So ang accounts receivable naton daw beginning is nag-value siya at pila 1,920,000. So ang balde may ara siya kuno nagsulod nga sales on account, diba? So mag-a-add siya sa balance ng aton nga accounts receivable na 6 million. And males if may ara sang collections na receivable, which is 6,200,000 less collections. 6,240,000. So ari siya, no? So pila ang AR ending. So let's solve. So 1,920 plus the 6 million, then less the 6,240. Okay, so ang AR na to, ang accounts receivable ending na to is 1,680,000. Okay, so pwede ka mo kagamit using IT account, no, para balaan nyo ang debit credit on each transaction, or pwede siya isolve isa-isahon. Okay, so answer is letter A. Next, problem number 2. So, anong question? So, at December 31, how much should be microwave's total current net receivable? So, net receivable siya gina-ask. Okay, so on December 8, 2014, balance sheet of microwave company, 31 na siya, no? Balance sheet of microwave company, the current receivables consisted of the following. So, trade accounts receivable, 232,500. Allowance for uncollectible accounts, 5,000. Claims against a shipper for goods lost in transit. Selling price of unsold goods sent by the microwave consignee. Security deposit on list of warehouse used for storing inventory. So ang total niya nga gin-record, no, nga receivables or current receivables 375,000. So let's check if no kung tama gid man iya pag-record nga 375,000. Okay, so let's solve. No? So ang trade accounts receivable, yes, dala siya ang AR. Dala siya sa pag-compute, no? 232,500 less the allowance, no? Allowance for uncollectible accounts. Kaya kung mag-present kita sa financial statement, sige na, deduct naton or ginaka-net naton nga accounts receivable. Next, claims against the shipper, no, for goods lost in transit in October 2015. Okay, so 2015, yeah. Okay, so ma-consider naton as part sang receivable, no? 75. So, tanto sa di title nga claims. Okay, so 25,000. Next, selling price of unsold goods sent by the microwave to consignee, no? Part siya sang receivable, hindi. Okay? It's because ang consignee, no, ang gipadala kay given pa nga unsold. Okay, so meaning sang unsold wala pa mabaligya. Okay, so part pa siya sa aton nga inventory and wala pa na siya mabaligya. No, so dito siya pag i-add, no, as part sa aton nga receivables. Next is the security deposit, no? Security deposit is considered a non-trade or non-current nga asset, no? So therefore dito na siya ibutang sa non-current naton nga mga assets. Okay, so ang total sininiya okay, so let's add 232,500 less 5,000 plus 7,500. So ang total niya is 235,000. So letter A. Okay. Next problem. So anong ginapakita sa problem 3? So what amount, no, should Hero report for accounts receivable at December 31, 2015 statement of financial position? So ang data. So accounts receivable beginning, credit sales, sales return, impairment of receivable 2015, collections from customers, estimated future sales returns, and estimated sales discount. So how to compute for that? Okay, so how to compute for this? No, so pila daw ang iya nga ending nga accounts receivable. Okay, so let's start from the accounts receivable beginning, no? AR beginning. Which is 975,000. Okay, ang baldri, may credit sales ako, no? Sa 2015, so part sang accounts receivable. So additional na AR 4,050,000. Okay? So the credit sales, okay, amo na siya. May sales return. So ang sales return iiban man na siya sa aton nga receivable. Okay? Sales is part of the receivables, no? So sales return 112,500. Next, ang impairment. Okay? So ang impairment okay, di ba, mag-record kita receivable is parang net, no? Net of all the deductions, impairment losses, if any, no? So, pinangalan taman siya iban. 60,000. Next, collections. Okay? Sorry. Less than less. Hindi siya kaigo. Okay, so less than less impairment. Okay. Next, collections from customers. Yes, iban man siya. collections 3,225,000. Ano pa? So, may estimated future sales return and estimated sales discount. So, pamangkot, do we need to account for that? No? The answer is yes. Okay? So, kaya nga daan, it is assumed, no, nga, of course, ano ginaya, parang i-claim ginaya or damito na siya sa mga customers naton. So, there is a large, there is a probability, no, nga i-avail inaya inang mga sales returns nga na. And also, no, para ma-determine gid naton ng actual nga parang inflows naton, no, parang inflows ng aton nga receivables. So less future returns, no, in 75 and less nga future nga sales discount. So 25. So total, so 975 plus the receivables less the returns, less impairment, less collections, less the future returns and discounts. So answer is letter A, 1,527,500. Okay, so let's proceed. Impairment loss, no? What amount should Queen report daw in its December 31, 2015, no? Statement of financial position involving its accounts receivable. Ng question 2, what amount of bad debt or impairment loss should Queen Company recognize related to its accounts receivable in 2015? So, problem. So, on January 1, 2015, Queen Company had a receivable from A company, 400,000, that has been outstanding for quite some time. So, initial investigation revealed that A company is in deep financial dilemma. So, parang close na siya sa ano, no? Ang bankruptcy or parang insolvency niya. So, at present, A company is unable to settle all outstanding obligations, but further investigation revealed that F company is taking over to run and operate the business affairs of A company. So parang may ano sila, parang merge, no? Si A company and si F company. However, F company is more than willing to assume only 75% of A company's financial obligations, and by the end of 2016, all the assumed financial obligations of A company will be settled. So as of December 31, 2015, Queen Company expects to collect 300,000 that is due from A company. So at the time, the receivable was recognized at the prevailing effective rate of interest for a similar financial asset at 14%. So wala ginhatag kung pila ang parang ano niya, no? Effective interest rate or ang value niya. So you need to compute. So the problem, kung hindi ka makabalo mag-compute sa present value or future value, or kung paano nyo siya gamiton, di mas mabudlayan ka mo, no? So, we will use this effective rate of interest na 14%. No? So, kung parang i-compute siya, no? So, amo ni siya. No? So, if ma-compute kita sa parang present value, no? Using a 14%, and ang year na gamiton is 1 year lang, because 2016, no? Tinangal by 2016 is mabayaran siya. So ang value niya will be, the present value will be 0.87719. So you need to find that amount. So kung mayroon ka mo scientific calculator, no? So mag-solve sina is 1.14, no? Raised to parang -1. No, raised to -1. Kung mayroon ka mo scientific calculator, try mo siya compute. Then mas-solve nyo na ng 0.87719, no? So kung i-continue siya, kung ang ginapa ngayon is ordinary annuity, iba naman ang formula, pero i-continue na siya, no? So dapat kabalo ka mo magamit sa inyong scientific calculator. Okay, so ng 0.87719 na gamiton ta na siya to evaluate kung pila ang value na lang ni receivable at the end of December 31. Okay? So paano na siya? So pila ang value niya? Expected cash inflow will be 300,000. Kaya mula na ang parang sure na ma-collect from A company. Kaya naghambalya si F company na 300,000 lang ya ang pwede nila or ang maximum nila nga mabayad. So multiplied by 0.87719. So ang answer niya sina, okay, so will be 263, no? 157. So amo na siya ang magiging value ni accounts receivable at the end sa December 31, 2015. Kaya parang amo na siya ang iyang present value at that time. Okay? So what amount of bad debt or impairment loss should Queen Company recognize related to its accounts receivable? So the difference between the face amounts ng receivable, which is 400,000, no, ang face amount, ang face value, ang face amount or ang fair value na 400,000 less the expected inflow, which is 263,157. So ang loss on impairment na i-recognize is ilan na siya? 400,000 less 263,157 is 136,843. 136,843. So letter A. Okay, so next, aging of accounts receivable. Okay, so all right, so how do we compute, no? This, so what amount of impairment loss based on the average loss experience for the last 5 years? So ang ma-estimate kita bad debt, no, or ang impairment loss niya. So given, may ari siya di table na ginhatag, no, using the aging of receivables. So we will compute ang pila ang aton na parang allowance of or allowance for impairment, allowance for uncollectible accounts, no, or impairment loss nga pagagamiton. So using this data, no, we will just multiply, no, this amount ning ari sa dito, no, multiplied by its percentage of uncollectability. Okay, so paano na? So directly lang, 561 times 600. So let's compute. Wait lang. Okay, so let's compute, no? 561, 600 times 48% siya. So 0048, no? So it's 2695. So whole number. So 2695. So 2696. Okay. So next, 196, 100 multiplied by 0.0104. It's 2039. Next, 88,400 times 0.104. It's 9194. 9194. Next is 18,500 times 0.50. Excuse me. 9380. Next is 96 times 0.7812. The total is 7499 or 75. Right? So, the whole number. Total Ang total niya is okay, so we add or we sum up that. Now is 2696 plus 299 so 30,809. So wala, are 30,810 sa pag ano lang. Sa pag excuse me. Okay, so ang answer is letter B. Okay, so next, proceed. Pila pa. So, problem 6. Sales with credit in freight terms. Okay, so what amount should Peter Company remit Thomas Company as full payment on June, okay, sorry, typo errors lang na, June 14, 2015. So on June 1, Thomas Corp sold merchandise with a list price of 300,000 to Peter Company on account. So Peter was given the following trade discount, 30 and 20. So kabalo ko mag-compute sini. So later, so credit terms were 215 and 40. Meaning sini, the 215 and 40, it means nga ang total parang time frame for the receivable is 40 days. Okay? It's 40 days. And if si creditor, which is si Peter Company, will pay, no, or will fully pay within 15 days, okay, so may ara siya sang 2% nga additional nga discount maliban sa 30 and 20% nga trade discount, no? And the sale was made free on board, no? Freight on board, sorry, point on destination on June 10, 2015. So when the merchandise was delivered, Peter Company paid 5,000 of delivery cost for Thomas as an accommodation. Okay, so tandaan nyo pa on ano ang treatment, no, sa FOB shipping point and FOB destination. So if ang trade terms is FOB point shipping point, no, the freight should be shouldered by the buyer, di ba? And if no ang trade ang shipping terms will be FOB point of destination or destination point, so the freight will be shouldered by the seller. Okay, so by the seller. Now, what amount should Peter Company remit Thomas Company as full payment in June 14, 2015? So meaning, pasok siya sa 15 days. Okay? So let's compute kung pila ang total ng list price. Okay, so how to compute? 300,000 times 30% or direction task 70% para sa first nga na trade discount na 70. So pila na. So 300,000 times 0.70, it's 210,000. Okay? So may 20% pa yun ng trade discount. So compute another 210,000 times 0.80. 80%. So compute 210,000 times 0.80. It's 168,000. Okay, so the list price now, no, will be 168,000. So pasok pa siya Japon, kaya bali nagpay siya on June 14, so pasok siya sa 15 days. So ang 168 multiply pag naton sa 0.98 or 98% to get the net balance. So 168 times 0.98. So ang iyang receivable supposed to be is 164,640. Okay? Now, ito. Ang balde, so ito, freight on board, no, point of destination. Okay? Okay, so the trade terms will be point of destination. So supposed to be ang mabayad sina sang freight is si Thomas Corp, no? So ano ang natabo, no? Pag-abot sang product, pag-deliver, no? Si Peter Company ang nagbayad sang 5,000. No, supposed to be di siya ang mabayad. Okay? So anong matabo sina? So iiban ina siya, no? Iiban ang pag-accommodate ni Peter, no? Yung supposed to be si Thomas ang mabayad kay free on board point of destination eh. So iba na lang, no, ni Thomas. I mean iiba na lang ni Peter ang gin-accommodate niya nga 5,000 na shipping point, nga shipping cost sa kay Peter, no? Para hindi na sila I mean kay Thomas, okay? Para hindi na sila suktanay pa later on. Kaya supposed to be si Thomas ang mabayad, kaso ang nagbayad si Peter. Okay? So yung iba na lang sa receivable account. So ang total will be 164,640 less 5,000. It's 159,640. So answer, letter dog. Letter D. Next. Problem 7. So question 1. How much cash did Hero receive from Halo at the time of transfer? And what is the carrying value of the account receivable assigned as of December 31, 2015? Okay. So on December 1, 2015, Hero Company assigned, sorry. Wala ko ma-edit. Ano siya man. Okay, so paano siya? 400,000. Sorry. Okay. So, ang gin-assign niya accounts receivable is 400,000. Okay? 400,000 siya. Of accounts receivable to Halo Company as a security loan for a 335,000. So, Halo Company charged a 2% commission on the amount of the loan, and the interest rate of the note was 10%. So, during December, Halo collected 110,000 on assigned accounts after deducting 380 of discounts. No? And Hero accepted returns worth 1,350 in note of assigned accounts totaling 2,980. So question number 1. How much cash did Hero receive from Halo at the time of transfer? So, ang ginhatag is 335,000. Tama. But, nambal dire. So, si Hero Company, no, charge a 2% commission on the amount of the loan. So, meaning, or Halo, sorry, nag 335, nag 2% siya ng commission. So, iiban pa na sa value sang loan. So, times 2%. 0.98, it's 328,300. So, letter C. Okay, so next. Okay, so question number 2, what is the carrying value of the account receivable assigned as of December 31 in 2015? So, ang gin-assign is 400,000. Tama? Okay, so the assigned account is 400,000. Assigned AR is 400,000. Now, during December daw, Hero collected 110,000 on assigned notes or assigned accounts after deducting 380 pesos worth of discount. So, supposed to be in ang collection, iiba natin siya. So, 110 plus 380, no, na discount. So, ang total yung nga na-collect is 110,380. So, ano pa? Hero accepted returns worth 1,350 and wrote off assigned accounts totaling to 2,980. Okay, so collections, less collections. Okay, less returns and pag-write off. So pila yung value ng assigned account. So 400,000 less 110, 380 less 1, I shit. 400,000 less 110,000, 380 less 1,350 less 2,980. So answer is letter boy. 285, 290. So letter B. Okay. Next, sa factoring. Okay, so what amount of loss, no? Loss on factoring or loss from factoring should committed company recognize the sale of its receivable. So freelance factors provides financing to other companies by purchasing their accounts receivable on a non-recourse basis. So freelance charge a commission on its clients of 15% of all receivables factored. And in addition, freelance withhold 10% of receivables factored or factors holdback, no? As protection against sales returns or other adjustments. Freelance credits the 10% withheld to client retainer and makes payments to clients at the end of each month so that the balance in the retainer is equal to 10% of unpaid receivables, not at the end of the month. So freelance recognizes 15% commissions as revenue at the time the receivables are factored. Also, experience had led freelance to establish an allowance for bad debts of 4% of all receivables purchased. So on January 2, 2015, freelance purchased receivables from committed company totaling 1,500,000. So committed had previously established an allowance for bad debts for these receivables of 35,000. So by January 31, freelance had collected 1,200,000 on these receivables. So ang pamangkot, so ano or how much is ang loss on factoring na i-recognize dapat on the factoring of receivables. Okay, so what amount of loss kuno nga i-consider ni committed company on the sale of its receivables. So pila ang values ng receivable factored, it's 1,500,000 less the commission, so 1,500,000 times 15%. 15% sang 1,500,000 is 225,000. So ang total na na-receive na proceeds is 1.275. Okay, so next, ang values ng AR, no, is 1,500,000. So paunta na ang loss, no, in factoring less the ADA na gina-recognize ni committed company, which is 35,000. Excuse me. So ang carrying amount ni AR is 1,465. So the difference between the proceeds and the carrying amount sa receivable naging factor is considered as loss on factoring. 1, 2, and 5 less 1, 4. So ang loss on factoring is 190,000. So letter C. Okay, so siya no on the receivables. So the next topic will be the notes receivables naman. Okay, so thank you for listening and have a nice day everyone.